All right. Jason, can you hear me? Jason, I got you. Can you hear me? How about now, Jason? There you go.
Hey, Professor, how are you?
Good. Glad we
Good.
finally did. Who's your friend there?
Oh, this is my son, Will. Hey, Will.
Hey, Will.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Glad you could join us.
Uh-huh. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Let me get our screen up and we'll get started here in just a minute. I'm running a little late. I having my own little glitches today.
Oh, no. You're absolutely fine. Don't worry.
Okay, you should see my Moodle page on the screen. Is that what you're seeing?
It says has started screen share. I'm not seeing anything yet. It's still
All right.
just black.
All right. Yeah, let's. All right.
Oh, yeah. I can see.
You got it? Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. Now let me get mine back up. All right. So the way I normally work this is get just a quick overview so that everybody who watches this later on YouTube or the like, or for yourself, hear what I've got to say about this week. I'll address what I'm talking about in regards to the chapters for the paper, and then and I'll do that for about 5 minutes. And then if that answers any questions you've got, hey, we're the better for it. If not, we're in week 3, and Salvation Army your books with that kind of and so it's to use for example, he's listening this is part of with that and where the head is possible. As long as you read it, we've had a close
yeah, I think yeah, it's good to have that feedback, right? To your point, right, it's a discussion forum about sharing ideas, right? Each of us have got different backgrounds, have different experiences, whether it be on the receiving end or whether it be providing that feedback to others, right? So I think kind of the discussion forums is good. I think, you know, both myself and it's my partner in crime, Robert Wallace, who I've been on other classes with, right? We seem to kind of go back and forth, which is good. I think it's good kind of banter to have that, you know, amongst the students as well, to kind of just share different thoughts and theories on it, because it's not just one view means that's it for everybody. Everybody's got a different view. So I think it's good.
Absolutely, and that's also gets back to how this course is designed. When I say Socratic method, I mean it. I've taught this course in the seated format back when we had our satellite campuses open, and the students were surprised that that I was not doing the talking. It was predominantly at least 80% all student talking. In other words, we're going to learn from each other. Uh, in this aspect, I'm able to say, you know, I get more out of you than you get out of me. And that's not to say that I abrogate my responsibility as an instructor. Quite the opposite. The whole idea of Socratic is, instead of the child learning model where you're sitting and you're receiving a lecture and trying to do rote memorization, that later builds a foundation upon which you're going to now apply a set of experiences. We're going to try to use an adult learning model, which flips that on its head. You've had a whole host of experiences over your lifetime. And now what we're going to do is introduce certain principles and models and traits and the like, that which you're now going to try to apply and be able to align with those experiences. You may be sitting here going, hey, what's he talking about with, you know, Herzberg's theory? And then saying, oh, no, okay, I remember being in a situation where I wanted more time off and my boss decided he wanted to pay me overtime and was wondering why I wasn't happy with that. Well, hello, you know, you didn't satisfy uh, the issue, which is wanting more time, not more pay. So this kind of gets into you know, the fun of it, and that's why in some measure it's a tough course, but we tend to make things a little tougher than they need to be. The weekly assignment talks about how do each of these organizations put people first. And then I've caveated that question to give you an alert, because what happens is a lot of people go down the road of customers or clientele, and that's not what the question's asking. Now, it isn't the thrust of what I'm after. I certainly am interested in how the Salvation Army or Marriott treats their customers, to be sure. But this is a leadership course. And so we tend to lead people within our organization by tend to leading our customers. There's some nuances there we can certainly, you know, banter about. But then, so if you read the rest of the question, it says, remember, by people, we mean the leadership and subordinates within the organization, not their clientele. So how do each of these organizations put their people first? Or how do I take care of my subordinates within Marriott? How do I take care of my subordinates within the Salvation Army? And this opens up a lot of interesting aspects. As an example, in Salvation Army, you note that it's a married couple that is in charge of that Salvation Army outpost, if you will, and they are provided free housing. Well, after 20 or 30 years in the Salvation Army, and it's time for that couple to retire as Salvation Army captains or primes, perhaps even majors. This is now a couple that's never owned their own home. And you can imagine, and I would anticipate, it's a bit of a challenge for some of these couples to be in their 40s, possibly 50s, trying to buy their own first home. So it's just an interesting dynamic and one that you can really dive into. Okay, and then the final piece is chapter 1 of the final project is due. So what is the final project? Final project is a research paper. You've written a research paper, nothing new here, except this paper is worth 50% of your grade. So you do turn in some written work to me, but you don't turn in any major papers. And now I sock you with a 50% of your grade paper that's going to be about 15 to 25 pages long. So what are we doing here? What we're doing here is you're going to take the opportunity to start working on your paper now, and have an opportunity for me to look at what you've done and give you some amount of feedback. Let me say up front, the University of Mount Olive policy is that I do not grade a paper twice. I cannot grade a paper twice. You are not able to turn a paper into me, get a grade. I turn that back to you, you fix it, turn it back in, and I give you a final grade. What's happening here, though, is I've kind of nuanced it a little bit. You turn in parts of your paper each week. I give you some feedback on that, and I say words to the effect of, Jason, you did a good job here. Need to do a little better proofreading. I suggest you use paragraph headers in this. If I had to grade it today, looked at about A- level work, as an example. And so that's what we're doing. People get caught up in the chapters and try to figure out what I'm talking about. So in a textbook, you have a introduction paragraph or section. You have a variety of chapters in that book, and then you have a summary at the end. And that's kind of what your paper is going to be about. Each chapter is going to be a critical point of leadership that you want to speak to. So say, for example, it's time here to talk about chapter 1. I am not having you go in and address chapter 1 of the 2 readings. That's not really what I'm about. If you happen to use chapter 1 of your readings in your answer, that's fine. But the first chapter, you may want to speak about mission statement and the importance of it on an organization. And you'll write your chapter based on that topic. And then bring in what you've got from the Salvation Army and Marriott and your other coursework. Next week, when you write chapter 2, you may want to write about how the organizations treat their people. Oh, wow, you already kind of started that with the weekly assignment this week. You could certainly use that as the basis for chapter 2, how to take care of people. Chapter 3 may be on risk. Chapter 4 may be on building effective teamwork. Chapter 5 may be on leading change, innovation, basic leadership, conflict resolution. You see what I'm throwing out here at you. It's an opportunity for you to write a research paper, pulling out 5 separate leadership subject areas and building a paper around that. And in the end, once you've got your 5 chapters written, then all you need to do now is add an introduction paragraph, a conclusion paragraph, and then go in and make sure you watch your transitions to make it more readable as you transition from chapter to chapter to chapter.
Mm-hmm.
This then allows, again, you to get ahead because, again, each chapter should be about 3 to 5 pages. Now, I don't grade based on pages. If you can get everything done and all your points made pages, great. That's fantastic, and do that. If you need to take 10 pages to make your point, great, then do that. But don't sacrifice quality for brevity. And on the other hand, don't add a lot of fluff and just kind of drag it out. It's
Right.
I'm more interested in the points you make and how efficient you are in making those points, not unlike how you would write for a boss at work. Um, I don't like limiting it to just a page or two because we don't quite get to the depth. Um, I'm a 3x5 rule, and so if you're going to write a paper on um, innovation or leading change or teamwork or any of those subject areas, I would expect to see 3 to 5 aspects to that paper. I would not expect to read, hey, the companies are innovative and they do change well because they innovate. Well, okay, I got it. You know, they're innovative. You just told me that. How? Give me some meat. Give me something to hold on to. Show me you learned something from your matriculation here at the University of Mount Olive. Bring in something that that really struck you when you're going through that class on leading change or that class on building effective teamwork or that those case studies in leadership. The
And so I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, so with the 5 chapters, like week 1 is chapter 1, week 2 is chapter 2, over the course of the 5 weeks, when it comes to the final paper, are we able to modify if it flows better, saying, hey, chapter 3 actually is better if it's chapter 1? Are we able to kind of modify that for the final?
Great question. Absolutely.
Okay.
As long as give me the heads up. But that's a great question. I've never had that one before, Jason. Thank you. Certainly, if it flows better, I'm certainly for that.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
So the chapters are due on Sunday evenings, and your final paper will be due on Sunday evening. So this is a little different from the normal battle rhythm. So discussion forum response on Wednesday, a response to other students by Friday, your weekly assignment on Saturday, chapter of the paper on Sunday. These are no later than times. If you may have noticed on some of the aspects of Moodle, you were able to enter anything for any question, for any assignment back on the day we started the course. So if you want to get it in, today, have at it. It's there's nothing limiting early work, and I've posted the questions on Moodle, so there's no surprises. I typically like to have you not get too far ahead because people tend to jump out and try to answer the questions now without reading the rest of the books. And the value of this course is getting into seeing what Watson and Marriott have to say because these books are just are tremendous. I'm a big fan of them because they provide a lot of good detail and a lot of good work.
Yeah.
And so week 4 you see is the same discussion written chapter, 5 discussion written chapter, 6 discussion written chapter, 7 discussion written chapter, and then obviously by week 8 you have discussion written and then turn in to Moodle. This is an assessment assignment, as all of them are, which means they have to be uploaded into Moodle in order for me to grade. I cannot upload work for you, nor can anybody, for obvious reason. So if we're going to miss a timeline, emailing me your work isn't going to quite cut it. We need to have a conversation on to why it was late, and then if it's determined that we'll go ahead and get it uploaded so I can grade it, then I need to unlock Moodle in order to allow you to do that. So not a problem. The policy typically is late work is not accepted, but the dean recognizes that certain exigencies occur and things happen out of control. So the best thing we can do is communicate. And then I leave you with kind of the mantra that I use with a lot of students, and that is uh, my job is to help you get through this course. You will do the work, but I'm here to help you. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So I did all that talking, and I probably wore you to parade rest. Did you have any specific questions?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. I just, I had a couple of questions about the layout and that flow. And again, with the chapters, as we're kind of coming through, and to your point, I wanted to make sure I got through the content of the books before, selecting which chapters I wanted to use and taking out or extracting those leadership principles to then finish that paper. And then obviously, depending upon which 5 principles I've chosen of the chapters that we read, then the ability to kind of modify that flow. So that kind of helped onto that. But other than that, I mean, I think I'm good. Again, kind of taking the books are great. I mean, I'm kind of amazed really at Marriott starting off as a root beer stand, which I had no idea, in DC, and then, kind of the first at the airports with hot food and such. And now how we take that for granted, right? So they really were kind of pioneers, and now, how they treat their staff and show them, which I think is kind of rare, which is, I don't want to say it's sad, but I mean, to show that you can start from the bottom and that there is a ladder that you can look to climb. And that's where a lot of their executives have kind of come from, right? They started off, he was a big advocate of recognizing and knowing how the hotel is supposed to run, down to the kind of details, right, that he would like of his. So starting off at that bottom run and being able to have that background, I think, he feels is a leadership quality in itself as far as having that experience, I think. So it's definitely, they're very different the way they kind of pitched. But yeah, it's interesting reading for sure.
I think those are great points. To get to your earlier point on the paper, you're right. There's a lot behind this. And what we were facing and seeing was uh, people waiting until the last minute to write a paper. Well, I'm kind of the proverbial pot calling the kettle black in that regard, because in my undergraduate work, I did my best papers the night before, and I'm not pleased with myself, and I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but time management was not my forte. Later on, and certainly as you go in for a master's degree, if you decide, you have to manage your time better. And so we were trying to get people to, think about their paper, start working on the paper, get some tangible aspects of that paper in early, so we don't have, a week 8 problem, and we don't have a 50% of your grade is failing.
Right.
That it wasn't happening a lot, but it was enough that the decision was to go this route, and it's it's unusual enough, and I think it kind of fits. To get back to your points on the 2 books and understanding Marriott starting as a root beer stand, I agree with you, and it's funny. I had my high school prom in the Twin Bridges Marriott that he speaks of, and it still had astroturf around it. The you you could see the gap analysis that went in, and them realizing that they can have a competitive advantage. They're meeting an unmet need. Um, the taking care of people, in part, you just hit on, it's a loyalty issue. If I'm promoting within, then I'm rewarding loyalty within my employees. That can also backfire. If Wells Fargo continues to promote in house after they've had such substantial fraud and illegal activity, then there would not be much hope in a turnaround. They are an organization that almost has to hire outside. Bill Marriott talks about taking care of his people, but the man that he hired to be his replacement, he hired outside of Marriott, at least as a senior leader. So it's just kind of interesting. Uh, that's why I gave you a slide on 7 keys to organizational success. An organization's success comes down to just those 7 things, and it's really that
Right.
3 who's and 4 hows. Who do you hire or recruit? Who do you promote? Who do you make your scene leader? How do you train? How do you equip? How do you organize? How do you execute your mission? Get any of those 7 wrong and you're in trouble. Get more than 2 wrong and your organization is going to self-destruct. Imagine running your own business, your own restaurant, Jason, and you're not hiring the right people and you're not training them. How long do you think you're going to stay in business? And so,
Right. Yeah, not very long.
I'm simplifying it to an extreme, but if all else fails, I tell students, go back to that and then take a look at what's going on, and you'll find something to comment on.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you say, you mentioned that you provided us a slide with that information on there? Was that, because I'm looking now, I don't remember seeing that.
So if you go in and take a look at the discussion forum, you should have been able to see my responses. Do you get a chance to read the feedback I gave you in the discussion forum?
Yeah.
All right.
So let me go discussion forum 1.
It may not be 1. We'll have to see. Let me pull it up here.
And then I say, okay. Oh, here, I see it. Yep, okay. I got it. So it was kind of embedded. It's not like the organizational success in 1 slide.
There you go. Now this week too, yep. I gave everybody actually gave everybody the answer to the written assignment. I posted not just the discussion.
I moved here in 2004 with work from London, and yes, I've been here 16 years now.
Wow, outstanding. You are you interested in naturalizing and becoming a citizen? Or you?
I already did. I already have.
Oh, well,
yeah. So thank you very much. I went out and I voted for this election. Did the civic duty, but yeah. So my wife is from Michigan. We have children, and so yeah, it's I love it. I mean, it's great. I get to go back. Well, when there's not a global pandemic going on, to go visit my parents and other family members back in the UK. But yeah, for the most part, it's here. Home is here now.
That's tremendous. My best man, my wedding friend of mine from high school days, married a South Philadelphia girl. South Philly girls are pretty tough, and they tend to buy the house next door to mom and dad. They don't tend to travel much. In fact, she'd never really been out of the state in her entire life, and she had married my buddy. He was working for naval housing with the U.S. Navy here out of Philadelphia. He got an opportunity to go to work for Sincus Navure, so the naval housing in England. He was responsible for it. I remember they were fixing to move, and she came up to me and wanted me to talk my buddy out of it. And I said, "You're talking to the wrong guy. My dad was a Marine. I moved 13 times before I was in high school. You're
wow.
Resilient. They know that they're loved and they're better for opportunities." And
right.
And so I don't think she was convinced. Anyway, they went over there and wound up staying, probably close to 12 years. My godson comes back playing football, which I know is soccer, not football. And he's got a British accent, and he tends to talk about his mates and cheers, and
That's right. Then a lot of different terminologies for things, right? So that's one of the things I had to quickly kind of pick up on. Certain things definitely mean different things depending upon for two English-speaking countries, but very different. You know, it's it was a lot of things I had to learn fairly quickly. You know, for us, a very quick example, biscuits in England are cookies.
Yeah.
And so when I first moved here, flew in on a Friday, was work and put me up in an apartment, and I went out to go find some food, find a supermarket or grocery store, and found a McDonald's, you know, being North Carolina, a big thing, biscuits and gravy. Well, I couldn't understand what the heck. I'm like, I don't understand why. And the gravy was gray. Now, don't get me wrong, I like biscuits and gravy, but my very first exposure, just walking into a McDonald's, and it was like, they serve food, I'll be set, and I can go kind of keep on discovering. But yeah, biscuits and gravy was the first thing kind of thrown at me that I had to very quickly understand what that meant. So yeah, it's been a learning curve for sure.
Well, it's too bad they didn't use the phrase that we use in the military and discuss that same dish as SOS, which is S, as you know the word as an expletive, on a shingle.
Yeah, on a shovel.
Yeah,
or on a shingle. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've heard that. I've had a lot of military friends in England. I was in for a very short period of time in the Royal Air Force.
Okay.
So not for very long. Yeah. So we used to go to. There's a number of as you may know, U.S. bases and stuff over there. So you know, the camaraderie between the UK and the US has always been fun, to put it in certain terms, as we like to kind of egg each other on as to who's got the better outfit, who's got the better food, you know, who's got the better, and so, yeah, it's always been fun.
Well, we're related by blood. That was the fascinating.
That's right.
Well, listen, I need to let you go, and Zoom's
Yep.
This is going to be posted to YouTube. If you don't wish it to, let me know, and then we'll have to take it from there. Otherwise, it's not put out there where everybody could find it, but it's out there, and that allows other people to benefit.
Right. No, this has been good.
Okay, and then best of luck on this week, and then we'll take it from there.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Good night.
All right, bye now.